there, heroes! For today's adventure, Simeon Scott will be taking you on a journey to clean up his local community, because just one person can still make a difference.
So when Jake first approached me about doing this, I was a little apprehensive because I was recently retired from doing YouTube videos seriously, and also I've just never been somebody who's really good at making local connections. But after giving it some thought, I was like, well, maybe this could be a good impetus to start doing that. And I started looking into ways to do that. I started racking my brain trying to come up with what I could do for a video on the channel that would still fit in with the theme, but maybe not necessarily be in the format people have come to mostly know from previous videos. What ended up happening was a couple weeks ago, I was just walking through Unity Park, which is this beautiful newer park that we recently opened here in Greenville, South Carolina. It's all based around, like, back in the day, this used to be where one of our minor league teams played, and also a major league team did their kind of practice games here. And also the rest of it happened to have originally been like sort of where the black community had their park during segregation. So it's trying to bring all these disparate elements that represent the city's history together into like a new, stronger, more beautiful park that anyone can go to. But I was walking around on the walking trail that is a part of the park, but also runs all throughout the city. We have this, like, I think 40-mile long bike trail that just goes all around called the Swamp Rabbit. And I was just noticing lots of little bits of trash just all around. Nothing like major, nothing crazy, but a lot of like little wrappers and bits and bobs that I'm sure most people don't normally notice. Every job I've had has made me pay a little bit more attention to an aspect of life that I didn't really care about before, just didn't notice before. You know, working in retail, I learned just how rude people can be when they don't think they're going to see you for the rest of the day, and how important it is to be nice to the people who have to deal with that. When I was working as a cart attendant in retail, I learned how important it is to properly return your shopping cart to the corral. And in my current job, where I'm working as a groundskeeper, and I spend part of the day walking around the parking lot of an apartment complex, picking up trash people have left by their cars, or just while they're out having a smoke or something like that, I've come to realize just how much trash people really do leave behind, and we don't do enough about it. And I said, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to come back here with my tools from work and some nice high visibility clothing so people at least think I'm official, and I'm supposed to clean up as much as I can here in a day. And that's what I did. I got my stuff together, I threw it in the car, and I drove over. While there was a decent crowd at the park, there wasn't like a ton of people to the point where I felt awkward going along the trail at a slower pace picking up trash. The only thing that was kind of out of normal, at least in relation to my previous handful of experiences at this park, was just the fact that the rail lines that were nearby were actually fairly active. There were a couple of trains going back and forth, and on the rail yard that runs perpendicular to the section of trail I wanted to work on, it seemed like they were working on a engine, and the footage isn't unusable, but there are some sections where you need like subtitles to be sure what I'm saying.
Honestly, if I cross over the road here and keep going towards, I think Falls Park is where this goes.
Which is part of why I did this narration. But I started on the section of the trail that runs a little bit away from the park and towards another one of our bigger parks, just kind of doing as I would do at work. Bobbing back and forth with the picker, trying to spot anything I can on the ground, and going slowly but also trying to be cautious of anyone near me. And it was going okay. I was finding a little bit of stuff here and there. Not nearly as much as I had remembered seeing the previous week when I decided to do the video, but still enough that I felt like, yeah, okay, I'm making a difference here. And I got to the end of the trail and found a couple of bigger items, including a used alcohol bottle that looked like it had been down in a ditch, which that was another sort of challenging aspect of this. A lot of the time, the side of the path would very sharply taper off into a ditch that kind of ran between the path and the rail yard on the other side. And sometimes I could get down in there and get stuff that had fallen way down in, but a lot of the time it was just too sharp to risk it, while I was also like carrying video equipment and I didn't know if it was going to be slippery at all. So there was some stuff that I wasn't able to get, and that was honestly a little disheartening. Somebody needs to come back out here with bigger equipment and do this a little more seriously. It would have helped to have at least had another person along. I was on the lookout for anything particularly interesting that had been thrown away, just for the sake of the video, because I know doing this for a living, I found some interesting stuff from time to time. At this point, the most interesting thing I had found was an AirPods case, an actual Apple AirPod case. No AirPods in it, though. It's very odd. It was like somebody was just running along and either dropped it or just went like, oh, it's not charging properly anymore. I'll buy a new case and keep just the AirPods themselves. But at this point, I started back in the other direction because there were two clearly delineated lanes of traffic going in either direction along this one bike path, because obviously you don't want people having to dodge each other. And that made it so I was like, well, if I see something on the other side, I should just wait until I circle back around, and that way I'm not darting back and forth getting in people's way. Which ended up being kind of helpful, because I didn't even notice until I was on the way back. There was a kind of bridge on one side of the path about, I want to say, a little over halfway through, and it had all this graffiti on it and stuff, and it just looked like this interesting concrete structure. And so I decided, let's go and check it out. And I felt even more strongly about that when I saw a big 2-liter of Dr. Pepper just sitting on the side of it with no bottle cap, and I was like, it's probably a lot of trash here. And this ended up being a huge kind of twist in the video for me, because boy, oh boy, was I right. There was all kinds of stuff just left all over this place. All kinds of larger bottles and wrappers, but also like some clothes and stuff. I found evidence of like somebody trying to start a fire. And when I looked over the side of the bridge, that's when it started to get a little daunting. It started to feel like I might be in over my head here, because I saw things like shopping carts that had been tossed off the side. I saw all kinds of like bottles clumped up along branches, and just huge discarded refuse that really made it clear to me, okay, this offshoot of the trail, this bridge that I didn't even know was there, and I imagine a lot of people just ignore on their walks, is a very seriously neglected area of our infrastructure that has a lot of people just going and dumping off of it. And I ended up getting to the other side of the bridge and seeing like there was an abandoned section of the rail line that, walking back along the trail later, I could even see ran up to the park, ran up to a building that is now like a bunch of restaurants and like an art gallery for people visiting the park. But, quick little look at the history of the park and the area it's based on, used to be an old railway station. They remodeled it, tore out all the track to kind of make the walking paths, and just kind of ignored this little side track and the bridge and let it get overgrown to the point where now people are going out and dumping regularly there. And that ended up being the bulk of my day, going through and just getting as much as I could out of this place. It was 17 bags of trash total. And it didn't feel like I had gotten close to permanently cleaning the place up. I put a good dent in it. It definitely looked better than I left it. But it would take, I think, like a serious operation to go in there and clean that place up. And the fact that it's been allowed to get that bad when it's right next to this big, very nice, very well kept up park that only has like little bits of trash in it really made me think. I thought our city had like good programs for this kind of stuff. I thought we had park cleanup days. I thought we had like a really nice Parks and Civil Services department that was taking care of these things. But sometimes, you know, this stuff clearly falls through the cracks, and it falls to, you know, I don't want to pat myself on the back here, but like people who are willing to have that thought, who are willing to just be walking around and going like, a little bit of trash here, maybe I should do something about that on my own, and then ended up stumbling across this stuff. And even coming back here making this video for you guys, I feel like there's still more work to be done. I feel like I need to go back and do this a couple more times, if not like on a regular basis, maybe once a month. Just go out to that rail line and see how much I can get. But, you know, we all do the best we can. We all try to provide a helping hand to the environment, whatever way is available to us. And this is one that's there for me. And who knows, maybe there's an area like that in your backyard, in your city, that you can go and work like that on. But very satisfied with what I did. And that's the key thing I kind of want to impart to you, is like, this might not seem like a big thing to be doing. It might seem like a rather minor thing in comparison to some of these bigger organizations that have been highlighted on the channel. But in the moment, when I was out there hauling all that stuff back, stuffing it into my trunk to bring it back to the dumpsters here at my apartment complex, I was feeling very accomplished. I was feeling like, okay, not everybody sees this place. Not everybody knows this is here, but it is here. It is just tons and tons of plastic and glass and paper and cloth that is just sitting here, that is going to be taking up space in this area for who knows how long, unless it's properly disposed of. And if I've got to be the guy to do that, you know, it's just one guy doing as much as he can in an afternoon, but still put a dent in it. That's the thing, is like, I'm just one guy, you're just one guy or gal or non-binary pal. You're able to make the same difference I did. You can go out there and do this. You can get a crew together. You can join your city's local park cleanup days if you have them. Or you can find another equivalent charity. And I want to just impart that if you have the time, whether it's just one free Sunday, whether it's a couple hours every month you can commit, you should commit that time. Because when you take the time to do that, when you look for those extra little things around your community that can be done, even if it's just one person doing them, it's still getting done. And it still makes a difference. And it's still something a superhero would do. Whether it's just not throwing that piece of trash away or picking up somebody else's trash, or it's joining a massive operation to try and end homelessness in your local area, or fighting back against a law that you think is unjust that your local area or even the federal government is trying to pass. All these things are worth doing equally, in my opinion. And I hope through seeing me do this, you're able to come to that same place, because it brought me here to you, and it also brought me a little extra bit of joy. At the end of the day, when I was kind of getting to the end of where I could fill the last bag to, I saw this little pair of plastic legs poking out. from this bush that I was picking trash out of. And I thought, like, oh, an action figure, that's cute, that's fun, that'll be something for the video. Not really realizing until I pulled it out that it was some kind of little rubber figurine of the Red Turbo Power Ranger. And I just thought, how appropriate, how cosmically funny and satisfying that I, a former tokusatsu YouTuber, making a video for the new channel by the once database ranger, would find a Power Rangers figure as like one of the last things out here. And I just had to show it to the camera, and I brought it back home and I cleaned it up as best I could. I scrubbed it a little, I ran it through my dishwasher, but that dirt is ingrained in there. But now it has a little place of pride up on my shelves next to my signed Lightning Collection Phantom Ranger. It just goes to show that when you give a little bit to try and make the world a better place, whether you believe in a higher power of any kind, I think the universe is going to see that and it's going to help you out. It's going to reward you for doing that. So get out there and find your way of doing that, because who knows what your reward will be. Maybe just a sense of satisfaction, maybe a Power Rangers action figure, maybe something else. Hope you have a good day.
So there you have it. If you would like to contribute to cleaning up our global community, check out The Ocean Cleanup at theoceancleanup.com. And if you sign up for our Patreon, all proceeds for the month of January 2026 will go directly to the Ocean Cleanup. Remember, the world can be a scary place, and that's why we need heroes. So until we meet again, let's all be superheroes, and I'll see you in the next adventure. Visit Simeon Scott at his channel.